Okay, so we've all got one, right? Tucked away in a closet somewhere. But have you ever really thought about it? I mean, the humble vacuum cleaner. Believe it or not, it has this incredible story. One that's packed with janitors who became inventors and, get this, even bizarre horse-drawn contraptions. So yeah, welcome to our explainer on the surprisingly wild history of the vacuum. You might even recognize this friendly face. If you're in Europe, you've definitely seen him around. This is Henry, a canister-style vacuum that's a total workhorse. He's basically the end result of over a century of innovation, all in the quest to conquer dust. But his ancestors? Well, let's just say they were a lot weirder. So that brings us to the big question for our journey today. What on earth does this little guy have in common with a massive, clunky, horse-drawn steam engine? Yeah, it sounds like a riddle, I know. But the answer? It's the thread that connects the very beginning of cleaning technology to the machine you have sitting in your closet right now. Okay, to find that connection, we gotta go way back. I'm talking a time before wall outlets, before electric motors even existed. We're heading into the manual age. This was an era of pure brute force, muscle-powered invention. So this timeline, it reveals this really fascinating debate right at the heart of early cleaning tech. The big question was, should you push the air or should you pull it? You had early inventors like Daniel Hess who had the right idea, suction, but it was just really hard to pull off. So for a while, the easier solution actually gained traction, just blowing dust away into a box. That is until this guy, Hubert Cecil Booth, saw one of these blowers in action and had this simple but totally brilliant thought. Wait, why not suck instead? And that is when the path to the modern vacuum truly began, with his enormous horse-drawn machine called the Puffing Billy. And wow, this slide really grounds the story in reality, doesn't it? On the left, you've got this ambitious, complex patent model from 1860. And on the right, that's what it actually translated to decades later. A housemaid putting in some serious physical labor just to operate a simple de-dusting pump. Innovation was slow, and cleaning, well, it was still incredibly difficult work. But then came the single biggest leap forward in our entire story, a brand new power source that was changing everything, electrifying homes all across the world. You guessed it, the electric motor. And the origin story of the first truly practical portable electric vacuum? Oh, it sounds way more like a weekend DIY project than some world-changing invention. Get this, it involves an allergy-prone janitor, an empty soapbox, and his wife's pillowcase. Seriously. And this is what he made. In 1907, a department store janitor, a guy named James Murray Spangler, was just totally fed up with his dust-induced asthma. So he cobbled together this solution. He took an electric fan motor, a soapbox, a broom handle, and, yup, a pillowcase. But his real stroke of genius was adding a rotating brush to stir up and loosen the dirt. That single feature would go on to define upright vacuums for the next 100 years. The thing is, Spangler was a great inventor, but he wasn't really a businessman. He just didn't have the money to mass produce his creation. And that's where William Henry Hoover, a local leather goods maker, enters the picture. Hoover saw the potential, bought the patent in 1908, refined the design, gave it a steel casing, added attachments, and turned Spangler's brilliant little invention into an absolute household name. So the very first Hoover, the Model O, hits the market with a price tag of $60. Now, $60, that might not sound like a lot to us, but in 1908, that was the equivalent of over $2,000 today. Whoa. This wasn't just another appliance, it was a major luxury item. It was a status symbol for the modern, newly electrified home. And Hoover just kept on innovating. In 1919, they totally perfected Spangler's rotating brush idea, creating what we now know as the beater bar, and they marketed it with this legendary slogan. It was a total game changer because it didn't just rely on suction anymore. It now actively agitated the carpet to release all that deep embedded dirt. Okay, so fast forward to after World War II. You've got the rise of the middle class, suburban living is booming, and that meant more homes with more carpets that needed cleaning. Suddenly, the vacuum cleaner went from being a luxury to a total necessity. And this mass adoption, it led to an explosion of different designs. Companies started creating specialized tools for pretty much every kind of cleaning job you could possibly imagine. First up, you have the classic upright. This is the direct descendant of Spangler's original design, and it's an absolute powerhouse for homes with wall-to-wall carpet. It uses that beater bar to really dig deep and pull out all that stubborn embedded dirt. Next, you've got the canister model. The clever thing here is that it separates the motor and the dustbin into a little unit on wheels. That means the cleaning head itself becomes incredibly light and nimble. So this design is amazing for getting under furniture, cleaning stairs, and using a whole bunch of different attachments. Then, in 1979, Black & Decker introduced a revolution in pure convenience, the Dust Buster. I mean, this cordless, handheld vacuum completely changed how we handle small messes. Suddenly, those quick cleanups, spilled cereal, pesky dust bunnies, they were totally effortless. And finally, the robot. These autonomous cleaners, they started out as pretty simple sweepers, but man, have they evolved into something truly futuristic. They're changing not just how we clean, but our entire relationship with the chore of cleaning itself. For decades after that big explosion of designs, the basic technology, it kind of stayed the same. But then came our final chapter, two massive technological disruptions that came along and changed everything all over again. The first of these disruptions came from James Dyson. He was an inventor who was just so frustrated by that common problem we all know, your vacuum losing suction as the bag starts to fill up. His big aha moment came when he looked outside the world of cleaning. He found his inspiration in the giant industrial cyclones used in sawmills to separate sawdust from the air. So here's how it works. Instead of relying on a bag that, let's be honest, always clogs, cyclonic separation uses pure physics. It spins air at these incredibly high speeds, kind of like a centrifuge. This forces the heavier dust and debris outward, where it just collects in a bin. The result? It was a totally radical innovation. No bag, and no loss of suction. The second big disruption was, of course, the robotic revolution. Now, while Electrolux kicked the whole thing off back in 2001, the really big leap came when a company called Neato added laser-based mapping. This allowed the bots to actually see and navigate a room intelligently instead of just bumping around randomly. Their evolution into these smart, self-sufficient devices, it really mirrors the rise of smart tech in every single part of our lives. So just think about it. We've gone from horse-drawn engines to a janitor soapbox creation, all the way to intelligent robots that clean for us while we're out. It's been an incredible journey, right? And it's all been driven by this one universal desire for a cleaner home. So as our technology gets even smarter and our homes get more connected, the real question isn't just what's next for the vacuum cleaner, it's what's next for the very idea of cleaning itself.